Good afternoon or morning or evening, everyone. It's Monday, May 23rd, 2 p.m. Eastern. Appreciate you tuning in. It's been raining all day. We got the nice background noise of rain and frogs. We'll get started here in just 1 minute. I do have a couple positions I need to be keeping an eye on in the stock market world, but we can do both at the same time. Hey, Jerdy from Montreal, Quebec. Just a heads up, put out some videos over the weekend. One of them was fairly in-depth about the cannabis space. I know some of you have interest there as well. And the other one was a bit about some of my bigger wins and losses in my trading career. So check out our YouTube page if you have not seen those yet. Appreciate all the likes and shares and subscribes and all the stuff that keeps us motivated to keep putting out content. Barcelona. I'm due for a European trip. But that means there won't be live streams, so not yet. All right, before we get into the charts, this Thursday, again, we've got a private live stream where I'm going to be going over what the Chart Guys membership entails and going over our chat room community and essentially showing you our day-to-day operations and giving you a discount code and all that stuff to see if it's something you would like to check out. So click this link, sign up, live stream Thursday. What's that, 3 days? So 3 days and a couple hours from now, we'll do that live stream. If you're not able to make it live, we will upload the recorded version. Not sure if the discount codes will still work at that point, but we'll cross that bridge when we reach it. All right. Starting off with the charts. Is my face the right size? Yes. Okay. So we've got a very clear resistance zone on the NASDAQ that we are watching very closely right now because we have been consistently rejecting from it in the short term. You look at this NASDAQ chart and we can say, okay, we had a bear break on Friday with a lack of follow through. Can bulls jiu-jitsu that momentum and turn it into a bounce? So far, the answer is kind of, but not really convincingly. And what we have to see for it to be convincing is this resistance zone right here. If we go to the hourly time frame and we mark resistance from Thursday, Friday, overnight last night, we've got 3 resistance lines with a zone. Let's just get rid of that middle line and we'll just call this a resistance zone that we are battling. And we have rejected now 4 times. We rejected this morning. We just consolidated on the NASDAQ and we're attempting to set an hourly high or low to then try again. It will be very notable to me if we fail again and lose that hourly support. That'll be a convincing bearish rejection, and it will certainly be notable to me if we break the high of the day and clear that resistance zone. Essentially, if we can clear that resistance zone, the daily bounce is very clearly underway, and if we can't, bulls aren't going anywhere. The S&P 500 is a bit stronger as some of the other sectors are stronger. You can see we already cleared resistance and back tested and held it. The financial sector is up big today, and the NASDAQ does not have much exposure to the financial sector, so it's not really helping the NASDAQ. And the reason I care about the NASDAQ more than the S&P 500 relative to the cryptocurrency space is I generally see more correlation there. And if we look at Bitcoin, we can see Bitcoin's doing the same thing as far as there's the high of Friday. We have not broken it yet. S&P 500 broke the high of Friday. The NASDAQ did not. So just another little instance where we're a little bit more like the NASDAQ than the S&P 500. So that is what we're looking at in the short term for the NASDAQ. As far as Bitcoin is concerned, when you look at this chart, what stands out to you? Because there should be 2 things that clearly stand out. For me, the 2 things that clearly stand out are, number 1, bulls are not proving a thing. We have daily EMA 12 resistance. We're in a daily and a weekly and a monthly downtrend. Bulls have not proven anything. I can be a bull and I can still be skeptical. And I'm not necessarily bullish Bitcoin right now. I'm definitely in wait and see mode. But there are times, I've been looking bullish today in the stock market more than bearish. Definitely have some spots where I'm looking bearish, but I've been looking bullish very skeptically. Because if we're playing counter a bunch of these trends, I have to have the bulls proving to me that I should be looking in this direction or that I should continue holding positions. So I am a skeptic of the bulls looking at this chart until bulls prove to me everything is a-okay. What else stands out to me from this chart? We know volatility is coming. We know sometime this week, and if it's not this week, it's certainly probably over the weekend. But we have to see a break of one of these levels, 31.4 thousand or 28.6 thousand, and we know significant volatility will then come from that. And we've got a tightening range that we've been trading within for the last 11 days. And it's possible that we remain within this tightening range for another few days. So by the end of this week, I would anticipate that we're going to be on the verge of a break at that point. But it's just sideways. And some altcoins are doing their own thing. But we can clearly say that if you compare the last 11 days to the preceding 11 days, there was way more trading opportunity to start May, the first half of May, versus the second half of May. So that is the kind of scenario where we need to be recognizing that and ensuring that our trading styles are reflective of the market conditions. Because if I am day trading the exact same way here as I was back here, I am absolutely going to give money back and I will be over trading. In my opinion, a short-term day trader should have been moving capital at least 2 to 3 times as much during this volatility as compared to this volatility. So again, we just have to recognize shifting market environments. And it's not surprising that we're tightening up right now because as we know, after significant volatility, we look for equilibriums and tightening ranges. And that's an important concept to get down because it helps us know when to pump the brakes and when to be a bit more aggressive. So once you find a bottom, once you dump and find a bottom and then have a big bounce, volatility is very likely to trail off a bit. And likewise, if you have a big breakout and then a big pullback, same deal. So getting familiar with the equilibrium, not only to trade it, trade within the equilibrium, trade the break of the equilibrium, but also to be a gauge of aggression as a trader. All right. The dominance chart still not doing much of anything. Again, the last 11 days, we've gone up a little bit. Now we're pulling back a bit. So nothing is really changing. The dominance chart will give us volatility when that range breaks on Bitcoin. The way that we have been trading the last year and a half, 2 years in terms of the most common relationships would have me looking for a bull break to mean a dominance chart pullback as altcoins see more significant follow through. And some bullish altcoins are already breaking. We'll look at some of them. And if we get a bear break of this channel, I would anticipate the dominance chart going up as altcoins drop harder than Bitcoin on that break. But that remains to be seen. Certainly something we're going to keep a close eye on. Ethereum is range bound as well. So 1900 is now a key support level. 2164 is key resistance. If we don't break 2164, it's a lower high. And we can then pull back for another couple days and remain tight. So again, we know that a break is imminent, but just looking at where we stand right now, I know it's possible to kick the can down the road and say, well, it might take another few days. And it might be into the end of the week that we're looking for a break. ETH BTC, daily downtrend still. Yes, Ethereum has been gaining against Bitcoin the last few days, but as long as we keep setting lower highs on the bounces, nothing is going to be changing. As I've pointed out many times, this is a very key spot for ETH BTC because we are either going to maintain the monthly uptrend or confirm the first monthly downtrend in 3 years, less 2.5 years, which obviously are two very notably different scenarios. So it's either a monthly head and shoulders or it's a hold of monthly EMA 12 and continuation of the uptrend. So bulls really want to regain a daily uptrend on ETH BTC for the first indication that we may be forming a monthly higher low. But if we keep just setting daily lower highs, bulls obviously don't prove anything. Litecoin is standing out. So it has been a stronger name than both Bitcoin and Ethereum on this bounce. It's been a while since that's been the case. We did just test the high of the bounce, 73, make that 74.29. And we failed. But the fact that we even tested that resistance, you look at Bitcoin, we're not testing daily resistance. And you look at Ethereum, we're not testing daily resistance. So clearly Litecoin is seeing a little bit of relative strength recently. LTC BTC is showing us that. It's a daily uptrend. What I care about and what I've been watching on this LTC BTC chart for all of 2022 are the weekly lower highs. That's what's most important to me. So we can see relative strength, but if we just reject from the weekly EMA 12 again, nothing's going to change bigger picture. So that's key for the bigger picture downtrend on LTC BTC. As soon as we break those weekly lower highs, I pay attention so much more to Litecoin as a bull than I have in a very long time, because these weekly lower highs have been very consistent for a very long time. So standing out a little bit in the short term, but again, it's another one where the burden of proof is on the bulls and the weekly time frame needs a lot more follow through. So let's now look at some of the lead altcoin bulls. Binance daily uptrend. Higher low, higher high. A little bit of increasing bull volume the last 2 days. So we zoom out now, our weekly bounce is clearly underway. We also know a weekly lower high is the most likely result of this bounce, but we can see that we are much stronger than Bitcoin and every coin that we just looked at because we're in a daily uptrend. And BNB BTC is showing us that. Look at this breakout. As soon as we cleared this level right here, 106, we then got to the strongest that Binance has been relative to Bitcoin in the last 4 months, which is very notable. We are in a daily stair-step pattern on this BTC pairing. That's something to be keeping an eye on as well, because when we lose that stair-step pattern, momentum will shift a little bit. But Binance definitely notable with its daily uptrend. XTZ is another name with a daily uptrend. Sushi has now confirmed a little higher low and higher high. So any name that has broken the high of its initial bounce is standing out to us as stronger. And again, we got our list here where we can see who's stronger today and see are they breaking resistance. So AXS had that 12-hour equilibrium that just tightened up forever. That has now broken bull, but we have a few other resistance levels that bulls are going to have to work through. So there's a handful of names that have broken bullish with a daily uptrend. The more individual altcoins that do it, the higher the probability that Bitcoin's going to do it as well. So even if I'm not in Binance, even if I'm not in any of these coins, I'm rooting for those bulls because again, it's this whole, they're all on the same team. It's this confidence builder if they can confirm those daily trend changes. Likewise, there's a lot of names that are still weaker. So I'm looking at XRP, high of the bounce of 46.59. That's still over 10% away. FTT, daily resistance of 32.78. That's still 6% away. So there are plenty of names that are still scouting daily lower highs. Look at Mana. Mana's resistance is 20+% away. So we know that a daily lower high on Mana is a lot more likely than confirming a daily trend change. So aggressive bears are scouting daily lower high entries this week on the weaker names. And of course, aggressive bulls are looking for higher lows. You know, the next time Binance consolidates, a bull's going to be looking for a daily higher low as it's been standing out stronger. So with this tightening range, we can determine clearly defined risk trades, whether you're bull or bear. So bulls are playing off the lows of consolidation because if we see a break of these lows, obviously it's a red flag in the short term and the bounce will have zero follow through. So that's now a must hold level. A week plus ago, I entered Bitcoin and DOT for bounces. And so now I'm just sitting in those half remaining positions and just waiting. And my stop's under these lows. So stop, if 921 breaks, I'll stop out of DOT. That's another one. DOT, anything under 1184, which is 10% away, is just a daily lower high. So bulls have their positions and they have their stop levels off of daily supports. Bears are scouting their positions and then they're going to put their stops above the highs of these bounces. So at this point, I personally wouldn't be looking for any bull entries. Ideally, that would have been done in the last few days. And I would be keeping an eye out for potential bearish entries if I was looking in that direction over the next few days. Otherwise, if doing neither, we're just patiently waiting for the break of the range, and we're not anticipating the price is going to run away from us. Because again, even if we break bull here, look at how much space we got for a lower high. Bitcoin can break bull and see 30% of follow through and just see a weekly lower high. So that's your anti-FOMO, the longer term trends. And of course, the broader market as well. We know we will need a confirmed daily uptrend in the NASDAQ and S&P 500 for the first time in a while if we're going to have bullish confidence over there, which would then seep into the crypto space. But long story short, your anti-FOMO is bigger picture trends. Anti-FOMO as a bull, that is. Let's check in on our stock names a bit. So MARA still very weak, daily lower highs. Riot, same deal. So bull's still not proving anything there. No new information. Coin has been very weak. Sideways. Coin's holding on a little better. It's doing the same thing as Bitcoin. 60.51 key support. 74.25. And again, I'm looking bearish on coin. I'm not going to short here, but I'm hoping for bounce follow through, and I will be interested in shorting a weekly lower high on coin. All right. That is what I want to talk about. What do you want to talk about? FTM. So FTM broke the bounce high, definitely notable. Let's check back in on KNC. We had a much different setup. Daily consolidation underway. 12-hour lower high, top fish there. So 12-hour higher lows have been lost. We know bigger picture, we're scouting a weekly lower high to be the result of this bounce. And a bear is hoping for a big enough pullback here to scout a daily lower high top fish the next time we bounce. Plenty of space for a daily higher low. It's just how much do we pull back before a daily higher low is set. Definitely watching the dollar weakness. And you could call it a head and shoulders. If we were to bounce, there's plenty of space for a daily lower high. So that's 1 point in favor of broader market bulls. But again, you know, the metals are bouncing really nicely in response to dollar weakness. But we're not really seeing much impact in crypto nor stocks. Because again, the dollar has been pulling back for days, and the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ hit lower lows on Friday when the dollar was notably weak. So we're not seeing dollar weakness translate into strength in stocks and crypto at this point. And we will be watching, can the dollar bears confirm a daily downtrend for a more significant shift? CRO. So again, we can do our analysis really quickly because we know Bitcoin sideways and any individual altcoins that are sideways, there's nothing different. So if we do not break 2072, it's just a daily lower high and continued tightening range. The must-hold support level is now 1819. That's our daily higher low. So it's just a question of, can we break resistance or do we remain range-bound? That's a question for all altcoins for the next few days. Can we break resistance or do we set a daily lower high and remain range-bound? Why DOT? Because DOT had a better bounce initially. A much bigger bounce than many other coins. So I got it on the 12-hour higher low on that bull flag pullback. Or did I get it here? I forget where I got it. But wherever I got it, it was because it was a bounce leader at that point in time. And there was a ton of space for the higher low. Hey, Greg. So looks, are we range bound? It's weaker. Looks dropped to a lower low. So nice bounce today, but we're back to square one for trying to set up a daily trend change where a lot of other names are not at square one. Bitcoin has a daily higher low and is trying to see a higher high. At this point, Looks is just looking for a lower high to be the result of this bounce. Then we need the higher low, then we need the higher high. So nice bounce off the low, absolutely, but it's definitely one of the weaker names because we did drop to fresh lows. So not weaker in the last 24 hours, but weaker on the daily time frame. Bulls could change that quickly if we get over some of these bounce highs. Looks BTC. I don't have a Looks BTC. Why would that be? Not on the major exchanges. NCT. So scouting a daily high or low, plenty of space to work with. Volume dropping off notably, but scouting a daily high or low, 4-hour trend change back to the bulls needed for the daily high or low to try and shape up. This is an hourly trend change attempt. High or low, have to break 278 for the hourly inverse head and shoulders here, which would be the potential first indication of a daily high or low trying to form off of EMA support. But the size of the retracement of this pullback is significant enough to be keeping an eye out for a daily lower high to be the result of the next bounce. One note on stablecoins. So again, USDT is just the kind of thing we need a broad-based warning. And again, you've all heard about it on social media and all that. Just be aware. It's the kind of thing where, you know, when I'm trading stocks and when the CVID dump was happening, I was positioning myself for bank failure. And I knew it was a low probability, but I was spreading out funds and making sure I had FDIC insurance with multiple banks and multiple accounts. And I was preparing for worst case scenario. So every single one of you, even if you think it's a 0.1% chance that anything ever happens with Tether for it to implode or blow up or whatever, write that game plan down. It's the same thing, you know, growing up, my dad had one of those old-fashioned metal ladders for fires that you'd throw out the window and climb down if there's a fire. We had a game plan. If there's a fire, this is where we meet out in the street or out in the yard or wherever it is. This is where we meet to ensure that everybody's out of the house. And the probability of a fire was extremely low, but you have those game plans established. So determine if USDT starts to implode and collapse, what are you going to do? Where are you going to put your money? Are you going back to all cash? Do you have a life raft that you can go to outside of Tether? Are you jumping into Bitcoin? What if Bitcoin's dumping? Again, just have that game plan for worst case scenario established. Because we never know. We never know what could happen. I've seen enough in terms of, you know, the founders and some of that history there. It reminds me enough of penny stock founders for me to say, okay, I don't really trust that. And granted, I've not done in-depth research to justify that. I just know that makes me a little uneasy. So that is enough to have a worst case scenario game plan. Backburner works better on USDT pairings than BTC pairings, I would say. I honestly have played with it on BTC pairings way less than US dollar pairings. Trias UDT, same thing. Anything under 250 is just a daily lower high. We're range bound. We're doing the same thing as Bitcoin. Must hold support is 192. I'm not adding anything. The question is, would I add, if the weekly RSI gets to a certain point, would I add to my long-term no-touch position? I'm not adding anything to that position ever. I have everything that I want there. Anything that I do in crypto from this point forward will be trading. Whether it's a swing trade or a day trade, I'm not going to be adding any to that position. Doesn't matter if it drops to 10K. I'll take swing trade bounce plays, but no more long-term, no touch. Do I ever use divergence of price and RSI? I don't. That doesn't mean it's not a viable trading style. It's just something that I've never added to my tool belt. And it's not something that I use. Never done DeFi trading. QQQ is testing the high of the day right now. We have a key resistance test of this quadruple top resistance zone that I just highlighted. So again, this end of the day, the next 90 minutes is pretty key here. We're either going to reject again and head back to hourly support or break out. And if we do neither, then we know the overnight session is going to be pretty important for the futures market. You got it, Simon. Glad to help. Did I sell long-term no touch in 2021? I was close. I wanted one more leg up. One more leg up, I would have started scaling out. But didn't happen. So no biggie. What percent in no touch do I? It fluctuates so much. I view it in terms of percentage of my net worth. And it was down at maybe 3% at one point, and then it kicked up to 12 to 14% of my net worth. And now it's maybe at 5 to 6%, maybe right in the middle. I own one NFT that was gifted to me, but I'm definitely not NFT savvy. It's the kind of thing where, you know, as things continue to develop in this space, I just have accepted what I'm good at, which is a trader. And so to branch off and try and play these other markets that are completely different than day trading and technical analysis, I just don't have time to do that, and I'm just focusing on what's working. So what does it show us? That Bitcoin has not bounced over the last hour with the broader market. It's just short-term relative weakness. We had another pattern here for bears. I talked about it in the last live stream. If you've got a bearish pattern shaping up into the stock market open, the probabilities of it confirming are higher. And we had a rising wedge right into 8, 9 a.m. that broke bear, back tested and rejected, and here we are testing the low. Zoom out, we're scouting a 4-hour higher low to be the result of this pullback, but bear setups into stock market opens are something to keep an eye out for. Do I believe that bond funds have fully priced in Fed rate increases? I couldn't say, but I do know to be looking for them to price it in long before it happens. The more the market knows something is coming, the better it is at pricing it in. And a lot of people, I think it's going to price it in a lot faster than people anticipate. Have I done a video on trading equilibriums? I think that one is on our TheChartGuys website. I think that one's private. We got a bunch of public videos and a bunch of private videos. I have a swing on MJ. I put out a 30+ minute video over the weekend, and I grabbed a position Friday. Took a little bit more profit today when I didn't see much follow through, but I've got a little bit of exposure. We'll see how it goes. Any favorite trader? Honestly, I mean, I like different traders' technical analysis, and I like their viewpoint on markets, but I've never seen anyone else trade enough to say that I like them as a trader, you know? There's a difference. I'm way better. I'm a good trader. I'm good at technical analysis. I'm good at execution. I'm way better at technical analysis than execution. Execution is the hard part. So you can be great at technical analysis and not a great trader. You got it, Luciano. Luki, I don't know. I need to hear you say it. Luciano? It doesn't sound right. Luciano. Best MJ ETF, that depends on what you want exposure to. There's ETFs for Canadian cannabis. There's an ETF for US cannabis. All right, last one, MIR. Big time breakout, win to short, have to have a level that you are playing off of. So what I want to see is something like a 5-minute head and shoulders. The only attempt that I will make to step in front of this speeding bull train is wait for a big enough pullback to anticipate a lower high as the most likely scenario, scale into a short or two, put my stop over the high. If the 5-minute uptrend is lost, I've got a winner. If it's not, I stop out. You got it, friends. Let's get to 100 likes. I appreciate that. And I will be back Wednesday, and I'll see a bunch of you on Thursday for the aftermarket live stream. Happy to answer any questions there as well. Tightening ranges. Watch for the volume spikes because volume will be hand in hand with volatility once these ranges break. Average stop loss relative to buy price, it changes based on the trading style. If I've got a stop level right nearby, I'll use larger positions. If my stop level is a long ways away, I will use smaller positions. So every single trade, it's different for me. And sometimes it's based on percent risk that I'm willing to take. More often it's based on price levels, but if I'm playing a wedge, a falling wedge, and I know I'm entering on a break of support, it's based on dollar risk. And again, it's position size. I could use a large position and have a very small percent risk if I'm real confident and want to be aggressive. I can use half the position size and have twice as much wiggle room if I am less confident. Thanks again, everybody.